Hey, welcome back to class. Let's go ahead and let's get started with our warm-up. We're gonna start off with footwork and let's do our reverse triangle just to start off. I want you to have one stick in your hand and moving, right? Move the stick around. You can paint angles if you would want, right? Keep it small, motions, nothing big. We're not swinging yet. Today we are gonna be swinging with a little bit more force and power. So I want you to, if you have one, grab your heavy stick, right? So this is one of my fatter sticks, right? It's a little bit heavier, and it's good for just swinging and working on some power in our swings. I also have this taped, right? So the tape gives me grip, and then I have a little bit of a bulge at the bottom that prevents from slipping, right? If you are swinging with all of your force, your hands might get sweaty, and it can fly out of your hands. I had people in the comments say, no, the stick will never fly out of your hands. I was like, well, you've never swung the stick hard then, because the stick definitely flies out of your hands if you're swinging it with all of your force. Definitely does, right? So it's good to be able to have something to protect your walls at least. All right, let's go ahead and let's do our reverse triangle, or our forward triangle, excuse me. So you can get off that line, or you could stay on that line and do a quick switch here, boom, or move, up to you. Play around with a little bit of both of them. All right, let's do X pattern now. So let's do one reverse, one cut through, one forward, and a cut through. Reverse, cut through, forward, cut through. And change directions, reverse, cut through, forward, cut through. All right, let's go ahead and let's do some chest openers, and let's just jog in place a little bit as we do this. And let's do some backward arm circles. Nice, big, doesn't have to be fast. Get that full range of motion though. And forward arm circles. Feel those muscles in your back work to squeeze the arms and pull them back. Stretch the chest out as you do that, and as they go to the front, try to stretch out your back muscles and get them warmed up. All right, so now we're gonna go small backward arm circles, right? So I'm not going full range of motion, but I am going a lot quicker here. Forward. Trunk twists. Head, neck, stretch your neck, whether you circle it or just go side to side, front and back, up to you. All right, get loose. And we're gonna quickly just review our 8 angle strikes, okay? So one leg in front, probably your dominant side, and begin. 1, 2, we're not going powerful yet, we'll go powerful after these. 3, 4, 5, 6, You can thrust, and 8. 1, 2. I want the hips turning though. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can bring it up and down. 7, 8. Whatever you want to do for your 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, left hand or non-dominant hand, whichever side. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn your hips. 1, 2. All right, let's go back to our dominant hand now. So what we're gonna do now, we're going to just practice some power strikes. First one is just gonna be 1 to 2. Now they don't have to be super fast between them, right? So I'm not like da 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 really quick. I want hard and hips turning. Don't throw your stick. Make sure you're keeping the good striking mechanics. We want to be hitting with that blade edge, not with the flat edge of the blade, but I want some power. And again, if you have a heavier stick, use a heavier stick. And that doesn't mean go use a baseball bat or something. You're just gonna injure yourself. Just if you have a heavier stick, use your heavier stick. Right. Ready? 1, 2, in place. All we're focusing on is that hip motion. Ready? Begin. Make sure you exhale with both of these. Hips turn. This is the one you're trying to crack skulls with. This guy kicked your dog, so you're hitting them hard. Notice I'm not going super fast. I give you a little bit of time in between because I want to power strike, power strike. Don't hit your knee. It hurts. Especially if you're going powerful like you're supposed to. Turn those hips. Don't throw your stick. Exhale on each one. Don't hold your breath. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to switch to our other arm. Same thing. Power strikes. 1 and 2. In place. All we're doing is turning our hips. Right? Keep it at about that same speed, and I didn't rush it. Didn't go super fast in between. Just focused on trying to get a hard strike each time. Exhaling, and you'll start to breathe pretty hard from these. Right, if you're doing it right. If you're just here, not as much. And sometimes I do this, right? Nice, relaxing, just focus on technique, and that's fine. But some days we just need a power strike. Right? Sometimes hitting harder is the correct answer. All right, ready? Begin. Don't hurt yourself trying to pull anything. That's why I try to warm up the arms. I'm talking to myself too on that. I got a pretty good habit of collecting injuries. Is it because I train martial arts 7 days a week? Of course not. There's no such thing as overtraining. That was a lie. There is. All right, that angle 2 for me is a little bit more sideways than I'd like. Throw those hips. Exhale. Switch sides, catch your breath. Now we're gonna do angle 1 and 2, but this time we're gonna be doing it with our power steps, right? So it's gonna be a diamond stepping pattern, or the half diamond, like I talked about last time. So we're gonna step with our left as we strike angle 1, pressing, turning that hip, step forward and to the right as we strike angle 2. So the stepping angles, I'm stepping towards angle 2, and I'm stepping towards angle 1, and then I'm gonna reset, right? As you reset, paint a little bit, or if you want, you could block or whatever, but right now, just focus on stepping with the power. We'll add a little bit more to it later. So, ready? Begin. Moving forward at an angle, forward at an angle. Can paint a little first. Right, drive through, crash through, and we're hitting hard, trying to overwhelm our opponent just with sheer power and force. Sometimes that's not the answer. Sometimes that is the answer, right? Some people only respect getting hit hard, especially if it's a stick and not a sword. Exhale in each one of these. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Don't hold your breath. I'm sure you can hear me breathing out every time. All right. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Same thing, other side. So now we're doing the other side of the diamond. Left leg is in the lead. If you're using your left side now, step forward to the right, forward to the left. Try to hit hard, okay? We're swinging with power, okay? Ready? Painting a little bit, moving around. Driving forward. Move, we're covering distance with this. We're crashing in and just trying to break through any guard that they have. Cut the angle one way, and then the other way. Take a breath. Next, I'm gonna do 1 and 2. So it's gonna look like this. 1, 2, and then we're gonna shield from here. 3. Now, this one you have to be careful not to just have too much forward momentum after that too, right? Sometimes even just then I realized I was doing it as well, where I'd kind of go here, here, and it'd be kind of hard for me to stop. All right, so now I want you to make sure you're going one direction, other direction, and then we're going to come off at a 90 degree, right? So if my opponent is in front of me, my first step is 45 degrees towards them. Second step, 45 degrees towards them. Third step, here, here. All right, so I'm going 90 degrees. So the stepping angles, if I'm right dominant on this, I'm stepping towards angle 1. Excuse me, start again. I'm stepping towards angle 2. I'm stepping towards angle 1, and then I'm gonna step towards angle 4 as I do that shield block, okay? So don't have too much forward momentum, but we wanna still try to have some good power in this. You might have a little bit less power because you're not falling into these strikes, kind of like we just were. All right, let's get it. Ready? Begin. So I'm imagining my opponent is right here, hitting with my first one, driving directly into them, moving out distance away as I'm putting up my shield. So as I'm stepping into this one, making sure that front knee is bent so I can spring off to the side as I do that shield block. And now maybe that shield block is just a angle 5 to the hand. It could be that too, right? So if they're, depending on what they're throwing, right? So if I'm going 1, 2, and maybe they're trying to block with a 1, 2, and then they throw a 1. So if it's not coming at that angle 2, like I'd be used to for a shield block, and it's coming at this angle 1, then I'm stepping out of the way and I'm trying to hit that hand, so it's kind of like an angle 5, right? And that's why sometimes you'll hear me refer to a shield block or a punch-up block, high wing, as a angle 5 block, because it can be an angle 5, right? Where we're hitting that hand, depending on our orientation and what our opponent is doing. If we blast it through them hard enough and they're just throwing this 2 at us, cool, that's a block. If they throw a 1 at us, then it's probably gonna be an attack on their hand more than it is a block. Let's keep going. Right, I want some speed and some power with these. Sometimes, like that time, I had a little bit too much forward momentum. So I went 1, 2, and instead of cutting to that 90, I was kind of falling forward. But at least I was still going in at an angle, which is better but it might not be good enough, right? Sometimes I might have to go directly to that 90 to get out of the way of that. Depends on what's happening, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Experiment. See if it works for you in sparring. Take a breath. We're gonna switch to the other side. I'm gonna talk for a second, catch my breath, let you catch your breath. Some of the time, if you just initiate with this violence of action, it puts a little fear in your opponent. I mean, not everyone, right? Some people love it, right? Some people get off on it, but some people, you just came in, you crashed at them and completely disregarded what they were doing. And it's okay to do that in the sticks, right? Machetes, swords, it's not okay to do that. It's better to be more technical, pop them, right? Because small cuts can end the fight. But in a stick, sometimes, if we just crash into them, they will hesitate with their strikes and they'll hit you and it'll be like this. And you barely even feel it. You might not even feel it if you have enough adrenaline with it, right? I've definitely been hit and not felt it and just been like, oh, cool, I have a bruise, I got hit, right? If it's on the bone, you'll feel it. But besides the point, if you just rush in them with really hard, powerful strikes, you can just have a little bit of fear and you start to own their mind space and they're just like, crap, this dude doesn't really care if he gets hit. I know, I've experienced that. Right? I had somebody just blast it through me. He's a big dude, right? So I was already a little afraid because a little 155 me versus 260 pound him. A little fearful, right? He just blasted through. I was like, oh, crap. Well, I'm gonna remember that and play my outside game. So sometimes you can use this as an advantage. If you're a big guy, you might just juggernaut this thing, all right? All right, let's go ahead and let's switch to the other side. That's enough talking for now. We'll talk a little bit more later. So, same thing, step 1, step 2, try to go 90 degrees with that, right? So I had that line right there, it was my reference point. 1, 2, 90. Okay, that's good, begin. You don't have to wait for me to go, just go whenever you can. Ooh, I almost slipped on that one. Gotta be careful of that. You guys watched me slip last time. Let's do one more. And all right, take a breath. Starting to tear up my feet. This mat, just pressing really hard. Get your breath in and out. All right, that's what we're gonna do for power strikes for today. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set my big stick down, grab my littler ones. Got these littler ones because they match in weight. I don't know about you, but I don't like having sticks where one is a lot heavier than the other. It feels weird. All right, so power strikes are done. We're gonna go back to coordination. We're going to do our 7-6. Right? We've been working on this. Hopefully you guys have it down for the most part. Right? Start in a closed chamber. We're gonna start with no footwork yet and just work on our strikes, and then we'll add a little bit of footwork. Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. And of course, this is our broken one because I'm stopping in the middle. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. So now what I want you to do is I want you to push the hip of the side that's striking, right? So if my right hand's out, I'm gonna have my right hip slightly forward. When my left comes out, left slightly forward, right, left. Okay, so I'm still I'm in a squared stance, right? But I'm just turning my hip a little bit with it. It's kind of bouncing, pop, 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 pop. It feels kind of like a dance, right? Go to the side. All right. That was a quick review of just not really doing much footwork. Now we're gonna add a little bit of footwork. So we're gonna add triangle stepping. I don't actually think I've showed triangle stepping. I know I've said a bunch of footwork patterns that have triangle in it. So triangle stepping looks like this. So think squared, the foot comes towards the other one into a crescent step motion and then steps to the center. Back here. So usually I'll start with one forward here. It's kind of like, it's not really like the other ones. It's similar. It's a triangle over here. He comes in, off to the side. Here, back, off to the side. So this is our triangle stepping footwork, right? Most of the time you just kind of use this to change your side. Right? It's not, I think of it more as like a coordination type thing, or it's kind of like a diamond step, right? But only one leg, kind of moving around something. For me, it's more of a coordination thing than anything else. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's start here. We're gonna start with one forward. So I'll put my right forward, and then the left is in the back, and I'm gonna be in a left chamber. You could do the same thing on the opposite side, right? Just whatever side leg is in the back, that's gonna be the side that you're doing. So we're gonna go 1 as it comes here, 2 as we step squared, 3, or our second 2 as we step forward, right? 1 as it comes together, 2 as we're squared, 3 as we're forward. And notice the feet come here. I'm not just gonna step here to here, right? I'm making that crescent step. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Show from the side. So starting again, whichever side's in the back, I'm on that side, closed chamber. 1 as I'm moving back, 2 as I'm moving sideways, 3 as I'm moving forward. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I want you to do this, and I want you to stay kind of light on your feet. So I'm kind of heavy right now. Boom, boom, boom. I want you to try to, right, just kind of pop it around as you're doing this. Do, 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 do. Okay. Also, if you want to, you can do more of a fluid run. And And at a certain point, they just start to become fluid, even though I have a little stop and I create this V, and it's still kind of broken, right? They're a little bit more fluid than they once were, right? So just be aware of that. You can play around with that as much as you'd like. So I want you to try to stay a little bit lighter on your feet, boom, as you do this. And if they don't completely line up, okay, right? Like I told you before, it doesn't quite have to completely line up. It just helps for learning if we do 1, 2, 3. But then the idea is really that you should be able to move around and do these patterns, right? Whichever pattern you decide to do, you should be able to do your hand work and your feet work relatively separate. So again, play around with this. I know this is the first time you've really done this footwork. Just play. We got the serious part out of the way. And I can make this motion bigger. I can jab it and bring it back. And play. Have fun with it. You can move around, right? Kind of see I'm kind of in this open position, and then I start my Sinawali and go back to this open, and then do half of that. Right? Da da da. Boom. Move it around. Da da da. Da da da. And you can do that because it's that same concept of when one hand was moving out, the other hand chambers. So even if I'm in a position like this, in my open position, if I shoot this hand for my 1, I just bring this one back, and then it's ready for my 2. Right? So don't think you always have to be here. If you're in this position, you could easily get to that position, right? Da da da. And then later on, I'll show. We'll get to that later. Just more how I might actually incorporate this Sinawali pattern. Well, like I said, we'll get to it later. If you need to, for now, sit here and just practice 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you feel like you can play around with it, cool. One fun thing to do with this is trying to make it really small. Right? So instead of these big motions here, you could try same patterns, right? My hands are doing the same thing. I'm just not bringing it all the way back. So I'm hitting 1, hitting 2, hitting 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It starts to get a little bit more confusing whenever you do it this way. But it's really just kind of getting your hands moving in a pattern and learning how to kind of untangle them whenever you're striking. That's really the idea behind these Sinawalis. It's not so much using this as a direct fighting. I'm not coming at somebody. I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you like this, right? Somebody comes in and they start actually trying to hit me with power like this, right? Look how fast I can go. Oh, so fast. It's not powerful. I'm not scared of that. I'm just gonna crash in and hit you because this doesn't hurt, right? Da da da. This doesn't hurt. This doesn't hurt. Right? Yeah, it might hurt a little bit. Okay, it stings. There's a difference between a sting and a hurt, right? So I'm not scared of that. And so don't think about using that to actually hit somebody. Most of the time if you're doing double 6, these first 2 are blocks, and that's your hit. The backhand is your hit. Right? Maybe you hit with the first one. Maybe you block it and then hit the hand and then put that back out for a block, right? You can use this, but you have to have more of a different mentality than every movement is a strike. Every movement is not a strike. And if you think every movement's a strike, then your strikes are just gonna be weak and they get crashed through, okay? All right, let's play around a little bit more. We're going to relax our grip, relax our wrist, and we're going to just go here. Please don't ever try to hit somebody like this. Or do, right? If you do, send me a video. I'd love to see it actually. But it's the exact same pattern, right? 1, and now I'm just rolling it around. 1, 2, 3. So it's fluid. I know we've done this before. A little bit bigger of the motions. 1, 2, 3. So instead of chopping it out and bringing it back, I'm just rolling that 2, hitting the center line and bringing it right back. It could be kind of like an 8 redondo. If I wanted, I could go fluid 1, fluid 2, redondo, right? And then I want you to try doing this though, smaller, right? So it's gonna start flipping at the wrist. You're not gonna have good blade edge orientation. That's okay. These aren't strikes. It's a coordination drill. That's all this is. Now make it bigger. Use your full arms. Okay. If your ceilings are high enough, extend your arms all the way. If you're really tall, unlike me, you might hit the ceiling, so be careful with that. All right. Big motions. Obviously, these are not strikes too. This is really exaggerated, moving them around. Smaller motions, more similar to a strike, about how we would kind of strike, but no power, just flowing through. The wrists are still relaxed, but I want you to have a grip on the stick, right? Here, I don't want this to happen when you're doing this, right? Your wrist will roll, but I don't want that. And I don't want a big gap here. And a little bit, okay, that's fine. It's kind of have to a little bit, but I don't want this, right? Never this. See? We always have to have all 4 fingers on the stick whenever we're doing it. You know, make it so that the roll is a little bit more janky, right? I can have a nice roll here when I'm just using my index finger and my thumb. I don't want that though. If it's a little bit more angled to the side, I don't care, right? I want all 4 fingers on it. Let's play around with this still. This is a really fun one with nunchucks too. I think I mentioned that before. I haven't covered this in the nunchucks class yet, but we will eventually, and it's a fun one. All right, take a breath, relax. And I'm going to quickly recap what we went over today. So in today's class, we started off with our warm-up, kind of practicing just some of our footwork. We, after that, went to our 8 angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I gave you options for 7 and 8, right? And I used my heavier stick here and told you to use your heavier stick if you had one. And we went for power strikes after that. So the first one was just 1, 2, swinging hard, just trying to break something with our stick. After that, we practiced our power strikes with our power stepping. So I would step with my left 1 and 2. So a little bit more faster, it looked like. All right, moving 45-degree angle, 45-degree angle. Did that with both hands as well. After we did that, we went 1, 2, and then our foot came up into the side as we did a shield block, and we exited out at that 90-degree angle. So we had power strikes, 1 power strike, 2, up for a shield block as we exited 90-degree angle. Same thing, did that on the other side. After that, I grabbed my lighter sticks, but I threw my other lighter sticks. I'm gonna use a heavier one, and we reviewed our Heaven 6 broken, right? Then we also did Heaven 6 broken, doing it with a triangle footwork pattern, right? I know I haven't showed the triangle stepping yet. This is the first time doing that. For me, it's more of a coordination drill than something I would actually use in sparring, so that's why I don't harp on that one very much. And then I showed kind of more flourishy stuff, things that aren't combat related, but are just kind of good for coordination, like rolling around as we're doing this, whether it's big motions with the arms, smaller motions, or just right at the wrist. And then I talked about how I don't want you to open up the wrist, right? When you roll it, I don't want those fingers to leave the stick. I want 4 fingers on the stick at all times, every time you do a roll. All right, hopefully you enjoyed today's class. If you did, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.